Dear viewers and friends, Vandana. This is KNS Biochemistry. Welcome back to this KNS Biochemistry channel. In this video session, I am going to talk about one of the area of biomedical applications of nanomaterials. That is the flow of nanoparticles. Is that micelle like carriers, they are going to carry the nanomedicine inside the living cell, that is inside the system. So that is about nanoparticle flow. So nanoparticle flow studies, implications for drug delivery. Let us watch the session now. Nanoparticles flow, implications of nanoparticles for drug delivery. So nanoparticle flow and implications for drug delivery. While the experimental study of a nanoparticle flow, which is done in vivo, that is inside the living system, proves to be difficult, a variety of theoretical and practical techniques are becoming available now to allow some understanding of the phenomena involved. So these processes, what are the processes available? That include, number one, convective flow induced by the flow of blood. While the experimental study of nanoparticle flow in vivo, that is inside the system, proves to be difficult. So in that case, a variety of theoretical and practical techniques are becoming available now to allow some understanding of the phenomenon involved. So these phenomena or processes, they include, number one, convective flow induced by the flow of blood. That is when the blood is flowing, see that your nanoparticles also going to flow along with it. That is convective flow along with blood. Or convective flow along with lymph or interstitial fluid, the fluid in between the tissues. Second one, the influence of the interaction of nanoparticles with themselves or with biological components present in the system, and the effect of this on their transport along with that. The third type, the effect of fluid flow and hence shear forces on particle access to, interaction with and removal from receptors. Diffusion and movement of particle, that is nanoparticle suspensions in complex media like interstitial tissue must also be taken in consideration. So much of the theoretical work which is relevant to this exploration of nanoparticle flow, that has not been directed towards biological endpoints, but this body of knowledge that is about this nanoparticle flow knowledge and the analogous literature on the dynamic behavior of bacteria, erythrocytes and platelets provides the basis of a more rigorous analysis of the factors involved in drug carrier nanoparticle flow. That is, your nanoparticle is going to carry the drug of interest. So we are going to analyze the flow of nanoparticle inside the system, and that nanoparticle is a carrier of drug. The drug is going to be carried by the nanoparticle. So drug carrier nanoparticle flow. So the nanoparticles are of value in a drug, that is carrying the drug or vaccine and the gene delivery system. In all the three cases, nanoparticles are used. So because of their small dimension compared with microparticles, so nanoparticles, they have smaller size than the microparticles. So these nanoparticles allows them to interact more effectively with the target cells, be safely injected because injection is very easy because smaller in size, and amongst other characteristics, they diffuse further into tissues very deeply and into and through individual cells. So the flow of nanoparticles in capillaries, that is minute blood capillaries where drugs cannot penetrate, but nanoparticles they can easily travel. Minute capillaries, lymphatics, tumor cell vessels, their extravasation and movement in the cytoplasm of cells are all aspects of the topic covered here. Albeit from a phenomenological viewpoint, see that they have said clearly that particle diameter, that is nanoparticle diameter, is a key parameter in the characterization and behavior of nanoparticle suspensions. So the diameter of the particle is very important one. In several of these analyses done, it becomes clear that another advantage of the nanoparticles may be the relative lack of effect of shear stress once these nanoparticles adhere to the surfaces as a prelude to uptake. That is, when they adhere to the surface and they are taken inside the system, then this is contrasted with the targeted microspheres whose residence on receptors and surfaces is size dependent, the larger particles being more vulnerable to detachment by shear forces. So if a very bigger drug molecule joins with the surface of any target cell, because of the shear forces, they are easily detached from the surface of the target. But nanoparticles are not like that. See that they are having relative lack of any influence or effect of shear stress. So they will join to the surface very easily and they will be taken inside. The uptake of these nanoparticles becomes easier. So relating to the flow of nanoparticles, that is nanoparticles flow in vivo inside the living cells or living system, which has often been simulated in vitro, that is outside the system, by chemical engineers and physicists interested in particle behavior, that is nanoparticle behavior or flow of nanoparticle, that is the conditions of this flow inside the system. So spherical particles, nanoparticles, they are having outer spherical shape. They are the norm, but not all nanosystems are spherical. Some nanoparticles may have different shape also. So the influence of asymmetry on the transport of nanoparticles in vivo is largely unknown. That is, how they are entering and how they are flowing through is under research only. So although the rheological characteristics of asymmetric particle, that is particles, they are not having proper shape, asymmetric, sir, irregular shape. So those kind of nanoparticle suspensions have been understood for a long time. So flow behavior of these nanoparticles in complex networks of nanocapillaries, small minute blood vessels, that has relevance in the design and operation of microfluidic devices as well as in drug delivery and targeting the target cell and in toxicological effect. The extent to which it is relevant for delivery and targeting the target cell is explored very well in this nanoparticle flow studies. So here you can see one figure that explains about this nanoparticle flow. So the nanoparticles flow here you can see in this picture. It is a diagrammatic representation of some of the areas where flow and the transport of these nanoparticles, that is nanoparticles, is shown here. So here you can see that number 1, the Roman letter 1 here, the arrow mark here. It is flow in the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. That is a flow of these nanoparticles in the GI tract after oral administration. That is, orally if you are taking a nanoparticle, what is going to happen to your nanoparticle in the GI tract after oral administration. The second one here, the second Roman letter 2, access to and adhesion to M cells of the Peyer's patches or to enterocytes. Here, the Peyer's patches in the intestinal area, where how your nanoparticle is going to behave. Third one here, this region, passage of these nanoparticles into the mesenteric lymph. That is the mesenteric lymph. Here you see that this is actually GI tract flow. The second one is a GI tract flow. It is going through the gastrointestinal tract. Number 3 is it is moving through the duodenum or the M cells or Peyer's patches. That is the third position here. The fourth one is this passage into the mesenteric area. That is this area. Inside this area, the mesenteric lymph area. That is it is going through that lymphatic vessels. Then flow in the lymph vessels and entrapment in the lymph nodes. Entrapment in the lymph nodes here in this area. So then transport between lymph and blood. Here you see that it is transported between, this is the blood vessel, this is the lymphatic system. The drug is nanoparticle is transported between lymph and the blood. This position here, this arrow mark. Then blood flow happens here. This is the blood vessel, minute blood vessel. See that this is the direction of blood flow, A. And B is adhesion to capillary walls. Suppose if the drug nanoparticle goes through this blood, it is attached with the surface of the capillary walls of the blood vessels. C is this area C here, extravasation and flow in tissue. That is from adjacent to the capillary area, the drug may come outside and it can reach the tissue area. So this is the tissue area where your drug comes, nanoparticle drug. Okay, it comes there. Then D here, this junction area, you can see that the D here, flow and deposition of these nanoparticles at vessel bifurcations. Here you can see that bifurcation takes place. Two routes are bifurcated. So in that area, your drugs, the drug molecule deposition takes place. Bifurcation area. Then E is the next one here, E, movement of these the nanoparticles into tumorous area, because here one tumor is there. So this is the tumorous area. Your drug from the blood, it goes to the tumor area. It targets the tumor cell. That is the target of this drug. Then here you see that each route, that is either by subcutaneous route or directly into the blood. In any route, each route, it will involve a complex sequence of nanoparticle flow pathways, most involving for the flow of the nanoparticles through lymph, blood and interstitial fluid. So you see that your nanoparticle once enters inside the system, it is having so many routes to travel, or you can inject it directly into the subcutaneous through the skin or through the blood or oral route. All the three possibilities are there. And all the three possibilities, this is the nanoparticles flow takes place. So in physical terms, the following situations could be considered for this nanoparticle flow. First one, nanoparticle flow is, it is happening rapidly flowing blood, including segregation and deposition of the particles and the behavior of the particles at bifurcations area in the capillary supply. That is shown in the picture. Second one, the effect of shear on adhesion of the particles of different size and shape. Third one, particle flow in more static conditions, for example in the tumor institution or the lymphatics vessel flow. Fourth one, flow of particles in tissues, including the flow of particles into narrow small pores through the tissues. Fifth one, flow or diffusion of these nanoparticles within the anisotropic interior of the cells, that is very interior of the cell area. Added complications arise where bioadhesive or ligand decorated particles are involved. In the later case, binding and flow are linked. So the inquiry can be divided into a discussion on the flow of these nanoparticles and the movement of these nanoparticles as a function of their size and its route of administration, whether it is going administered through oral or blood or subcutaneous skin. So the influence of convection and blood or lymph flow, the influence of flow dynamics and the interaction of the nanoparticles with the target tissues and receptors, and the movement of nanoparticles once they have been absorbed and they are making their own way through individual cells and the tissues towards a target cell. So in whatever may be the route of administration, once they enter inside the body, they will take their individual route of administration, individual flow, and they will move towards the tissue or the cell or the target cell. The routes of administration, that is here you see that various routes of administration by oral, skin or through blood. So these routes of administration where flow is more important potentially, that includes all, even the oral route, that is oral administration, where particle flow and the dynamics in the gut lumen, that is GI tract, and in the vicinity of both villi and microvilli is important, that is inside the intestine. So particles flow, that particles below a critical size are taken up by the micelles of Peyer's patches and by normal enterocytes. Then small quantities and of these nanoparticles, they find themselves in the lymph vessels, lymph nodes, blood, liver and spleen. If the flow of nanoparticles away from their site of absorption is restricted due to flow in lymph or blood flow being very slow, then this will reduce the bioavailability and the biodistribution of these nanoparticles. Because if the lymph is not flowing well, blood flow is very slow, then you see that these nanoparticles, the bioavailability, biodistribution of these nanoparticles will be reduced automatically. So the rapid flow of these nanoparticles provides superior sink conditions, and hence the use of everted gut sacs and cell monolayers in vitro that can give unrealistic results for nanoparticle transit. So the influence of flow dynamics on extravasation and perhaps on the enhanced permeability and retention, that is enhanced permeability and retention EPR, that EPR effect for nanocarriers has perhaps not been fully addressed or understood. So both involve consideration of this nanoparticle size, the diffusion rate and the flow of nanoparticles through narrow channels, as well as navigation of tortuous environment. That is very flexible or very tight environments. So the availability of the extreme nanoparticles in the form of dendrimers are also one kind of nanoparticles, or in the form of quantum dots, that makes this area, that is the nanoparticle flow, that is a vital area, the vital one in understanding the fate or toxicity or accumulation of these molecules. That is what is metrically a wide range of systems. So all these things are decided based on the availability of these nanoparticles. Dear friends, in this session I have explained you about nanoparticles flow and the flow properties of the nanoparticles inside the system. Then we have seen the implications for a drug delivery inside the system. So with that, I stop this session. I'll be coming back to you with another session. Until then, it is a bye from KNS Biochemistry. Thank you very much. Namaskar.